Hi guys, another GA4 session. On today's session, I wanted to discuss something interesting. Right, so you guys have websites or apps that being tracked by GA4, right? So what happens is, say, let's take this example. Say you have a e-commerce website, and there's a user who have four devices, and in four devices he have multiple browsers or platforms. So what happened here is, even though he comes to your website on a different days and on different touch points, say Facebook ad, Google ads, and he comes to your website, and then later on another day he comes from a LinkedIn ad and purchase from Edge browser. This will be tracked. Your event or touch points, everything is tracked on GA4 as a single user journey because it's a single user, right? And on today's session, I wanted to discuss and show you guys how this being done or tracked or reported, not reported, how GA4 track this as a single user journey, how this mechanism works, right? For that, let's shift to the Google Analytics 4. Okay, so Google Analytics uses three different methods to identify this as a single user. Before going into this reporting identity or three different methods to identify touch points, event, and report as a single user from a single user with multiple device or multiple touch points or multiple platforms, you'll just understand one thing. There is something called identity space. It's from this only Google Analytics identifies the users. So this is called identity space. Identity space is four different things called user ID, user provided data, device ID, and modeling. And let's understand user ID. User ID is nothing but, say, let's you have a sign-in user journey or something. You gather the information about a login or something, and then you pass that data to Google Analytics, and that will be used to identify user from different devices. Say a person logged in from a desktop, and then when he logged in and use it on a mobile, then that user will be connected. That is one. Then user provided data is actually hash data or consented data. So actually earlier they had this, instead of user provided data, one of the identity space was Google Signals, but they later remove it, and then they call it as user provided data. Actually, it's user provided data. It can be email, phone number, or your name, address, which you provided to the website, right? So that will be used to identify between different devices. And the third one is device ID. So what happens is, when on a website, it's client ID, and then in a app, app instant ID will be used to identify the user in the different devices, different platforms. That is the third one. Fourth one is modeling. Let's say for modeling to work, you need to have concern mod. So what happened is, when you have a concern mod, and if a user denies, the modeling comes into play. So what happens is, when a user denies, the GA4 finds similar user have that same behavior and fill the gap who have denied it. So that's how the modeling works. So this is where the four identity space comes from. This four identity space only, these three reporting identities will work. There are three different identities: device based, observed, blended. So when it comes to device based, it uses, if you select device based, it only uses device ID to identify the user. And then when it comes to observed, it uses user ID and device ID. So the first, it's check for the user ID. If the user ID is not there, it's check for the device ID. So this is observed method. And the last one is blended. So what happens is, blended, if you have the concern mod only, my personal recommendation is, if you have concern mod only, you go for a blended mod. So where I first check the user ID, then check the device ID, both is not there, then it goes for the modeling. So these are the three different identity method or reporting identity will be used to identify the user who comes from multiple devices, as on this image, from multiple devices, multiple platforms, and comes to your website, different user journeys, different touch points, and comes and do a purchase. You will have a single user journey. Hope you understand how use how a user who have 4 devices and different browsers comes into a single user journey. Please place your comment which reporting identity you are using, and let's have a discussion if you have any questions. Thank you.